One of my goals is to eventually have a healthcare clinic right here in Columbia. Some of the payments, I will depend on Medicaid, Medicare. Some of these clinics that we have that you can just pick up the phone, walk in, you're not going to be able to do that because they're not going to exist. It could be just that bad. So when you talk about the provider, so for the bigger hospitals, Forest General, Merit Health, UMC, when they get their Medicaid, Medicare funds that come into the hospital, there's a tax that's called a provider tax that is given by the federal government. So basically what the federal government is trying to do is cut out all of their funding for the state and get the state to fund their facilities. Well, if they cut all that out for UMC, which is the biggest hospital basically in Mississippi, there's things that you can't do at Forest General, they send you to UMC for all these specialties. What are you going to do? Especially for our elderly people who have these chronic conditions or heart conditions that can't be taken care of at your local hospital. It's going to get really, really ugly if this bill passes. So the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, just to piggyback off what he said, if you do not apply like you're supposed to apply, they're going to cut you off, totally off. Like the enrollment period, sometimes they will extend it. There will be no more extensions. It's either going to be that 30-day or nothing. Just imagine how many people that is going to affect. A whole lot. You're right, a whole lot. So basically, in a nutshell, you have reduced access to health care because now people don't have insurance. So they're not going to be able to go to the hospital or to the doctor. They're going to flood the emergency room for visits that are not emergent. Health insurance, normally they'll go back and they'll look at it. If it's not emergent, they're not going to pay. You talk about long waits in the emergency room. Right now, there are some people who stay in the emergency room for 24 hours before they can get a bed. Just imagine if we're flooded with, I fell and I hit my head, I don't have insurance, I can't go, it can get really bad. Potential for facility closures, no, I don't care what anybody say, Marion General, the hospital in Tylertown, the hospital in Monticello, those hospitals saves lives. They may not be able to totally treat your condition, but they can stabilize you until you get to Forest General. That's going to be cut out. Just imagine having, stroke or heart attack symptoms and you got to drive all the way to Forest General just to get some help. Yeah. Staffing issues, I cannot stress that enough about the staffing issues in these facilities, especially a nursing home. You got people, there's like 60 to 80 people in one facility. They're low staffed now. If they cannot take care of those people and give them the quality care that they need, y'all, that's going to be ugly. That's going to be ugly. So Mississippi right now, as far as providers go, physicians, there's a shortage of physicians. Yes, there's a shortage of nurses, but there's also a shortage of physicians. Most of your rural clinics that are placed in different areas throughout the rural counties are staffed with nurse practitioners. Those nurse practitioners have a physician that's their overhead, their collaborator per se. Most of your collaborators are paid by the institution that they work for. So for every physician that you see, if he has 10 nurse practitioners that he's collaborating with, he's getting at least $3,000 to $3,500 per nurse practitioner per month, which is one of the reasons why Mississippi don't want to give nurse practitioners full practice authority, which means I could practice without a physician, right? If this takes place, your nurse practitioners, what are you going to do? We're going to have to take cash payments if my physician say he's not going to collaborate with me. And the collaborator has to be within 75 miles of me at all times. Most of your rural clinics are 75 miles away from a big hospital. It's ugly. It's going to be ugly, y'all. All right. So anyways, I wanted to kind of bring that home to everyone. Do your research. Go in, look at this bill, see what it's saying. If you have to sit down and write out steps of what you need to do to make sure that you keep your health insurance, do that. Do that. And like he said, reach out to the people in Jackson. They actually have where you can actually go at the front step in the lobby if you need to. We can do that. Look at the news. Look at the you can kind of go online and type in some things to see when the lobbyists are going to be out there, and go join them. It works. It really works. Your healthcare providers, your healthcare facilities need you. All right. Thank you.
All right, we have a minute or two for questions. Are there any questions? I thank God my hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. I need them. I need them. Any questions for Dr. Bridges, Dr. Monica, about the health care? And here's the thing I think about. Big Mama and Pawpaw made it. I'm going to be all right. Amen. Look at your neighbor and say, you're going to be all right. Yes, we will find a way to work it out and work together. There's a lot of policies that are happening, but we are resilient. The people of God are resilient. Any questions? Anybody who's in that particular field that you want to add any comments to it that you heard? Anything? Yes. Sister Carol? Hey. That's true. Yeah. Yeah. If it's not an emergency. Come on up. Come on up, Dr. McGee.
If it's not emergent or a life or death situation, so right now if you go to the ER, if you're sitting there and you've been there for 2 hours and somebody come in and say they have chest pain and shortness of breath, we're going to let you sit there another 2 hours and we're going to pull the chest pain and shortness of breath back. So what she's saying is if you show up at the hospital and you got a cut on your finger or you hit or you have a headache, people go to the hospital for migraines because they can't get rid of it. That's not an emergent procedure. They will have the right to tell you no. Or you'll just sit there and you'll eventually get up and leave, literally. So that's what that means.
Yes, question? Stay on up here with me. Stay on up here with me.
So what she just said is some insurance companies will not pay if you have a nurse practitioner as your primary care provider. They will not pay. For your hearing, for your disability hearing. Yeah. And when you go to those hearings, those are medical doctors that are actually looking at your information and letting the judge know whether or not you qualify. Those are physicians. Yeah. Yeah.
I love my nurse prac. Wow. Any other comments or any questions? So what would you say about those who are seeing nurse practice primary? What would be your consult on that?
I would say to pull all of that information from your insurance provider, because Medicare, Medicaid, that's not a stipulation that they put. Medicare, Medicaid will pay. Some of your Advantage healthcare plans, you need to go look at the literature or call your representative and ask them if it comes, that I need to sign up for disability or something happens and I need to go before the Social Security Administration. Ask them if that insurance company covers your primary care provider as the nurse practitioner that you're seeing as a primary care provider. If they do not, I would switch. simply because, like I say, there is a shortage of physicians here in Mississippi. Most of the time when you go to a cardiologist or a rheumatologist, you're going to see a nurse practitioner before you see them. Literally, Hattiesburg Clinic is full of them. Forest General is full of them. I work there. So, it's full of them. So I wouldn't necessarily, there's not a whole lot you can do about the Social Security Administration, but you can go ahead and head it off by calling your insurance company, calling your representative and asking them, is there an issue with the payment for you having a primary care nurse practitioner as your provider? That's what I would do.
And right before we wrap up, Dr. Wesley, but I want you to maybe tell us, insurance-wise, should we be looking toward a certain kind? Because I can imagine if you're a Medicaid person, or if you have Medicare, or if you have children who are on Medicare right now, what are some solutions or ideas that we need to think about moving forward, something that will help us out? Dr. Bridges?
You want to answer that question?
So for those who have the Medicare Advantage plans, and I'm not going to call any names, but Medicare Advantage plans normally do not pay for long-term care, or they don't pay for a skilled care. So if you was in the hospital for 2 months, you're weak, you're really debilitated, and you need some ongoing therapy, and you have to go to what we call a swing bed. What those Advantage care plans do is they determine by our documentation whether or not you still qualify for care. So it's like a week-to-week qualification that we have to do. We have to send in information every 7 days for them to say whether or not you're eligible to stay for another 7 days. If you are nearing 65, 70, sometimes even, I would go as low as 55. I would look, if you're disabled, I would go to my representative and tell them that I want traditional Medicare, Medicaid. Traditional Medicare, Medicaid right now, before this big ugly bill, traditional Medicare, Medicaid will pay for anything that you need. All right? I know they give the discount cards to go to Walmart and all those different places. I get that. But if you're needing long-term care, those discount cards and things from Walmart don't even matter. All right? So I would look at that. Traditional Medicare, Medicaid. See if it benefits you now. Okay? As far as health care for the children, with this particular bill, the threshold for what you can make a year is almost nothing. Somewhere I read the other day, it was like $15,560. Y'all, school lunches right now, breakfast, it's $3.50 to $4 for breakfast, $4.50 to $5 for lunch, and the government is no longer paying, for during the COVID or whatever it was, everybody ate free. No such thing anymore. They're going off the parents' income, and if you are 1 cent over, you're going to have to pay. We just calculated the other day for my grandbaby. We will be packing lunches because that makes no sense. For a mother with 3 children that's in school, that's $320 a month. That's almost $12,000 a year. Y'all, that's bad. That doesn't even count rent that has to come out of that $15,000. Lights, clothes, food, and they're going to cut food stamps. Make it make sense. That's bad. That's not good at all. So when you talk about CHIPS, Medicaid, and all that, I'm not quite sure how that's going to look with this bill, but I would definitely stay on top of it. Do the research, and see where you are. Kid you not, there's a young lady who needed Medicaid because she got pregnant. She quit her job just so she can get it. So she can get a job that says she worked PRN so she can use that income so she can have her baby, literally. It's going to be a whole lot of that coming down the line. So whatever insurance you have now, call them. Make them explain to you what benefits you have. Look at the fine print because it'll tell you what you don't have in that fine print. They don't want you to see that part. They just want your premiums every month. But look at that fine print. If you can't read it, call them and tell them to send you something bigger or explain it to you. Detail for detail. That would be my advice, is to go look over the plan that you have. Because right now, depending on Medicaid and all that, we just don't know where it's going to end up. Okay?
Thank you, Dr. Real quick, on the local hospitals. Me and Dr. Mom was talking last night, and sometimes we refer to those places as Band-Aid stations. I'm not going to the Band-Aid station. We need those Band-Aid stations. We really do. I'll tell you a story real quick. A few years ago, a person went into a Band-Aid station in Lawrence County, blood pressure 220 over 190, with no insurance. And they said to him, we got to send you somewhere to get your heart checked. Do you want to go to Jackson or Hattiesburg? And that person said Hattiesburg. And of course, you know I'm talking about myself, and my wife was sitting over in the corner. I said, let's go home and pack some clothes. She said, no, you don't understand. We're not letting you out of our sight. We need those Band-Aid stations. So I urge you, some effects went in. They went into effect July 1, Medicaid cuts here in Mississippi. But them rascals work for us. They're going back to work first Tuesday in January. Let's not wait. We got smartphones. Let's email them, let's call them, let's text them, and say, keep our rural hospitals in Mississippi open. Amen? God bless you.
All right, let's be in the know. Was that helpful? Yes, yes. And now we're going to take y'all and build your faith back up. Because it's real out here in these church streets. But we need to know sometimes the truth is not pretty, but it's necessary. And once you start from the base of understanding and knowing, then you can help yourself better. And so we're going to make sure we do that. And as pastors of the Acts Fellowship, we'll be looking for resources and looking for ways to get information back to our congregations in order to keep us plugged in, to keep us healthy and informed. Let's give these two a great big round of applause for coming and being real with us and letting us be in the know. All right, we are now transitioning. And right before we do, just for the knowledge's sake, so when you go out of these doors and go to the left, the restrooms are on the right side if anyone needs to go. I see we have a lot of people.